I'm David Sapirstein, and I'm going to show you how to do the Credo cube packaging. This is specifically for Amicus Therapeutics use. The first thing you do, you'll get a cube like so. You want to pull this tab out in the front and open up the lid. There's more instructions here if you can't figure out what I'm trying to tell you. So the first step is to pull the insulator lid out. I'll go into detail later about exactly how the insulator lid must look, but this is a very important part of the process. So an important part of this process is making sure that these insulator panels are still good to use. So they need a vacuum seal, and what you can see on these insulator panels is they kind of have this crinkled type of dynamic to them, and this means that there's the vacuum still within the panel. So the way that you can check to see if these panels are messed up is over here on the side right here. This is what it'll look like if it loses the vacuum seal. It's nice and flat. There's not really these granulated crinkles inside the packaging, or inside the panel for that matter. And so you want it to look like this. If the entire panel looks like this flat, very glossy, metallic look, that's not what you want, and you need to order new panels. Alright, so the next step of the Credo cube packaging is to take out your first TIC panel. There will be 6 of these panels total. This is the top panel, which lays right underneath the insulator pad. It has 2 sides to it. The first side has the labeling on it, and the second side has a big Credo cube logo on it. And what you want to do with these is place these inside a -18°C freezer or colder for a minimum of 24 hours. And you can stack these in the freezer. I'll show you that in a picture now on screen. But you can stack these. Another thing to note, once they're in the freezer, there might be condensation on them, so you just want to wipe them down with a paper towel before pack out. So continuing with packing out of the TIC panels, now you can see that there are just the walls left and the base layer of the TIC panel. So what you want to do is continually pack these out and put these in the freezer one by one. Note, these panels are very different than the insulator panels. Do not mix them up. They're very different. You do not want to put these in the freezer, whereas these TIC panels you do want to put in the freezer. So now we see the last base panel is within the cube. That will be the last panel that we take out. So we're just going to go ahead and grab it. This one might be a little tricky to grab just because of the moisture. But this is the last one put in the freezer. When you are stacking these, make sure the Credo cube logo is facing up. I might have missed that in earlier steps, but there will be a disclaimer at the bottom of it that you should have seen. But yeah, stack these upright like so in the freezer. There will be a picture like I said before, and this is the last panel. Minimum 24 hours, leave it in there, and then we'll tell you what to do the next step. There is insulators on all 4 walls and the base of the cube, just like you did with the last panel. You want to check and make sure the sides are granulated like that. Okay, so now the panels have been in here for a minimum of 24 hours, and what you would like to do, there's 2 options for this next step. I'll get into the second option later, but for the first option, what you want to do is take these out and put these on a wire rack for around 40 minutes in order to bring them down to the 4°C that you're looking at for pack out. So what we're going to do is take this TIC panel over to our nearest wire rack. When you're doing this also, you should hear that there's no liquid because there's phase change material inside of these panels. And when you are putting them in the freezer, they should be somewhat of a liquid form, so you'll be able to hear them shaking within the panel. But right now, they should be solid. So when you place this on the wire rack, you want to make sure that they're spread out and there's ample airflow. There's 2 different ways in which you can tell if it's at 4°C for pack out. One is the SMART indicator, which these TIC panels personally do not have them, but they will be located right here, and I'll have further instructions for that in the manual. And with an infrared thermometer, and that will be the next step that I'll show you later. This is how you will be reading the temperature from the TIC panel surface temperature. when you just shine around 35 centimeters away, you shine the laser beam light onto the outer surface, as you can see here, and you get a reading on your thermometer. And like I said, it should be around 4 degrees Celsius. Alright, so option number 2 for pack out and preconditioning to the 4 degrees Celsius, it's slightly different and it takes more time. So whichever option you prefer, you can do. So once it's been in here for, once again, 24 minimum hours in the negative 18 degree freezer, you want to take these out. Once again, they should be, you should not hear any phase change material moving around them, and place them in a 2 to 8 degree Celsius refrigerator. Once again, you can stack these TIC panels once inside of there, but for the 2 to 8 degrees Celsius, obviously it takes a longer time to raise the temperature back to the 4 degrees Celsius. And so what you're trying to do is, like I said, bring it to the 4 degrees Celsius, which you can read with the thermometer, but you can just leave that in there for a minimum of 24 hours, but these can stay in there indefinitely, essentially. So if you want to do, if you receive the package and you want to freeze them right away and set it up for maybe a shipment next week, what you would do is then use option number 2, put them in the 2 to 8 degrees Celsius refrigerator, and you can leave them in there indefinitely until you decide to pack out your Credo. The first option really is for if you have a limited amount of time to try to get the shipment out. The second option is better because it's easier to bring it down to the 4 degrees Celsius and you know for sure it is at that degree. And also it can stay in there indefinitely before packing. Okay, so now that you either used option 1 or option 2 to precondition the TIC panels correctly, what we're going to do is start the pack out process. So first, what you want to do is get your base TIC panel. All the TIC panels are the same, so if you're worrying about whether there's a top one or a base one, there isn't. They're all the same. But so I just picked one from the refrigerator or the wire rack, and that would be our base there. It just sits in there like this, and when you put the other TIC panels in, it will snap in, and you'll see how that works when you're doing it yourself. It's very easy to use. But what you want to do is make sure the blue tab is facing that way and the Credo Cube logo is facing upwards and into where your payload will be. So the next step that we are going to do is pack the sidewalls of the Credo Cube container. So like I said, it just snaps into place with the lower base panel, and you'll see how this works and everything like I said before. Once again, make sure the Credo Cube logo is facing inward and the blue tab is facing up in this specific instance. Okay, so now that your side panels are in, you have a payload container area right here. And specifically for our Pompeii product ATB 200, Amicus uses packages and containers like this to ship our product within it. So what you're going to do is place these within the payload box. As you can see, there is some room around the sides of it. What you're going to want to do is pack that with bubble wrap and just continue putting the different containers on top of one another and pack it with bubble wrap, and then put the temperature probe in. And that'll be shown at a later date, but that is how you pack the payload area. Next step will be the final TIC. So, lastly, you get the final TIC panel, place it over the payload on top of the other 4 TIC panels making up the sidewalls. Like I said, Credo Cube logo goes inward. Once again, at this point, these different TIC panels might have some condensation on it. Just wipe it down with a paper towel real quick so that your inner payload is not wet. And make sure this is facing inward, like I said, and place this on top with the blue tab facing the back of the box. It should lie flush in here just like this. Lastly, you want to put your last insulator panel on. The TIC panels are all in there, the payload's in there, you're almost done. All you have to do, put this on like so, this label facing that way. Once that's on there, everything should lie flush. See how this slides flush, and I can go straight like that across. And then finally, you want to just close the box up, put the tab in. Right here is where you will put your labeling, and then this is where, on the container itself, it shows you where you should be taping to secure the box, and that's all there is to it.